Like, that's it. That's what we said yesterday. Fuck you. It's over. Now shut up. Sit down. So we can get back to, like, raising our kids and having families and playing baseball and shit. Like, can't we do that?
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much for making yourself available. I know you have been up all hours. You're short of sleep. It's Wednesday, the 6th of November, noon, noon your time on the Eastern Coast, and 5:15 in the UK. And something happened in the United States yesterday that may have global implications.
Yeah, it was Guy Fawkes Day. It was Guy Fawkes Day.
Ah, Guy Fawkes Day. That's it. There was an overturning of the old order, or an attempt at overturning the old order?
There was an attempt. Yeah, there was an attempt to overthrow the old order, and we kind of threw a little bit of a bonfire over it. And we certainly did in Florida. Like, holy shit, dude! Like, it was really funny. I don't normally do a lot of that stuff, but I was watching some poll, quote unquote poll experts on YouTube last week or so, and just to get a sense of where the relatively serious people had the election. And I'm like, man, Florida about where I had it, +7, +8. No one had +14. No one had +14 for Texas. Yeah, I mean, dude, in the end, yeah, it's +13 for Florida. No, that's Rick Scott. That was Rick Scott. He won by 13. Trump won Florida by 13 points. He won Texas by nearly 14 points.
Yeah, and I'm just looking up on my phone. There was a county in Texas. Whoops. There was a county in Texas which hasn't voted Republican since 1892 or something like that, and they voted for Trump. Just extraordinary.
He's going to win. He's going to win Nevada by 5. It looks like he's actually going to win Arizona. We'll see. What they're doing at this point, the reason why some of the states haven't been called yet is this is all about the Senate. There are 4 Senate seats that they're trying desperately to ballot harvest and not call the presidential election on, and of course then by extension not call the Senate races. And they don't want to see the Republicans under Trump with a Murkowski, Collins, and Romney proof majority, meaning 54 seats. Okay, that's what they're worried about. And because that way they can block any of the real reforms that he he has been talking about. He gets now that's a nice thought on their part, and they're going to continue to think in those terms. And one of the things that came up in the market report when you haven't watched yet, but I was talking about this. I'm like, but then Romney's going to have to deal with the fact that he's going to be called into Jamie Dimon's office like Daggett and Bane in the scene from The Dark Knight Rises, and Romney's going to like stamp his feet and say, I still have power, and they're going to, you have power. You know what I mean? He's going to put his hand on the, I did a really good Bane impression this morning. Now I just want to like do Yoda and, my backwards twisted, right? And, but like, you feel in charge, and, I think Romney's going to get the talking to. I think Murkowski's going to get the talking to, and I think Collins is going to get the talking to. And any amount of assholery that these people think that they're going to engage in, like, I don't know, switch party to Democrat, like, they have to be informed that is not going to be a choice they're going to be allowed to make, unless, of course, they decide that they really do want to commit suicide. Because if they try that in this environment, that's when this thing will go violent. Okay, when they try to then use the implied violence of, I'm just making a choice out of my conscience. Yes, shut the fuck up. And someone is going to take them out. Okay, we're in mobocracy. Don Trump-Leone has just been elected, and that's what we have to, and we all have to be comfortable with that part of it. Okay, we all have to be comfortable with that understanding, because that's what's actually happening. Okay. At every level. It's, one thing, it's always their side with the globalists that throw people down the friggin' stairs, be it John Roberts, the, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, or Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, or Harry Reid, when he was Senate Majority Leader, or whomever. Like, they think they get to break people's arms. They get to hire the large Mexican to pay him $50 to break your legs. Now we have to be comfortable with that level of pushback against these people. They have never, ever felt that level in their position in the past. They're feeling it this morning, and it's them they're the ones that are going to have to deal with the position that they're in now, because everything has shifted with this result. The people that are melting down on TikTok and on CNN and whatnot, yeah, some of the media are clearly complicit in the violence that's been done to people over the years and the violence that's been done to our system. But the average person who's been brainwashed and is just having a psychotic break, like, we have to let them We have to let them have those psychotic breaks and be there ready to pick them up. And don't be mean about it. Don't be cruel about it, right? Just if they get out of line, cold cock them, leave them on the ground, and move on, and they'll eventually wake up. That's what we're dealing with at this point, but that's coming.
I want to go back to what you said about the Senate race. So when are the results due, or how long can they string them out? Because one of the things I noticed is that this time round, and as you've said many times before, the GOP will be ready for election stealing. They had a really, really great setup. There were court cases going on in particular counties because of the Democratic-controlled administration was doing something to cook the books. So they went to court straight away. There's SCOTUS, I think in Pennsylvania or Virginia, said, no, you have to remove the illegals off the rolls. All sorts of things going on, captured on camera.
Right.
So how are they going to be able to string out the Senate election?
I don't know. They're just going to continue to they're going to play the game, and they're going to dare us to do anything about it. They're going to use this moment, this morning and tonight. They're going to use this next 24 to 48 hours while everybody's all high on Trump winning. That's when we take our eye off the ball. Don't take your eye off the ball, folks. The 3 Senate seats in in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Nevada are all important. Forget Carrie Lake; she was never going to win. She's a terrible candidate. And then Pennsylvania as well. So you've got 4 Senate seats that are now effectively too close to call. But like Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania should have already been called. They're saying there's only 96% of the vote in, and it's 0.8%. It's 50,000 votes. There ain't 50,000 votes left to harvest, and there may be some stupid state law that if it's within a point they have to do a recount or whatever, they can't call it. But it looks like McCormick's going to win. Like the big one is Slotkin in Michigan, and then because she's she's got seniority. We got to get rid of her. And Mike Rogers at this point, it's within 7,000 votes, and quote unquote 97% have reported. Trump's going to win Michigan by 1.5 points at a minimum, right? The idea that Mike's going to lose by half by 0.1%, that's fishy. Wisconsin, he won Wisconsin by 1 point, and that one is and the Senate race is within 1 point on the other side. Now it's going to be that's the thing. We're hoping that those I'm not going to complain about. Clearly, Pennsylvania and Nevada shouldn't even be contest. He won Nevada. He's going to win Nevada by 5. They haven't updated the Nevada vote totals since 88% since 2:00 last night. Okay, they still won't call Nevada, but there's no reason to believe that he didn't win Nevada. He's up by 5. Okay, Las Vegas is already reported. Okay, and so Sam Brown is up by 1/10 of a point in the Nevada race there with 88% reporting. They're sincerely trying to harvest that result, and you have to realize that. But the big one is the number for me is 54. 2 of those 4 seats have to go and to neutralize the Romney-Murkowski-Collins wing. I mean, Murkowski's already basically said she wants to join the Democratic Party. I got news for you, Lisa. You ain't. You will be allowed to retire and have your replacement appointed by the Alaska governor, but you're not going to play this game because you are not in charge of this.
Yep.
Whether you think you are or not, because they're all going to get called into the office, and it's not going to be Trump that does it. It's going to be Jamie Dimon that calls up Mitt Romney. That's the first phone call that Dimon made this morning. He's going to turn around and he's like, look, you're going to do what we want you to do, and that's it. Or it's over.
Hold on. Right? I can get that happening because I've listened to you, and we've talked month after month after month for several years now, right? But for someone who's new to this conversation, what do you mean Jamie Dimon's going to do this? Jamie Dimon's just a banker. Why does he get to say, and how do you know it's him?
How do I know this? Because this is the thing that we've been discussing for 3 years. We don't get to today if the Fed didn't raise interest rates to 5.5% with the blessing of Wall Street. Okay, the WEF Agenda 2030, the Keir Starmer betrayal of Brexit, all of this stuff. That's all. The real focus, the real threat was pointed at that threat was the commercial banking interest in the United States. That's who the target was. Now, once you understand that, then you say to yourself, well, how do they defend themselves? You defend themselves by breaking the offshore dollar market, by getting control over the debt indexing rate and the cost of dollars around the world. The way I'm going to describe it now is, look, the commercial banks, and with Trump in the White House, this is what I think is going to happen going forward. And I said this before the election. I said that the Fed will probably cut harder under Trump than they will under Harris. And it sounds backwards, okay, but it's the truth. The Fed is independent. Still, until Powell's gone, Wall Street and the Fed are going to put as much political pressure for reform as possible. So they've taken the punch in the mouth by having massive holes in their balance sheet and a fucked up yield curve and this and that and everything else in order to get to this moment. Now the payback is going to be that the Fed will cut rates hard to help the banks get through this. We've taken it to the limit on, how much we can, burn down commercial real estate and burn the commercial credit markets and all the rest of that. And we're at that moment. Like, Danielle DiMartino Booth is out there screaming the credit markets are going to seize up any day now. And she's not wrong. But she, at the same time, is also saying exactly what I'm saying about what the banks are trying to accomplish here, what the Fed's trying to accomplish. So read between the lines, understand that it was always a race to see who was going to go broke first. Or could the commercial credit markets stay solvent until we got past the election? The Fed's about to announce what they're going to do today. They're probably going to cut 25 basis points. And FOMC day today. Like, we got the election and it's FOMC day as well. We're going to get probably a 25 basis point cut. With Trump winning, we'll probably get another one, if not a 50 in December. Depends on how things go. If the Democrats in Davos and, all these fucking terrible people are going to try and contest the election or refuse to seat Trump or try to sentence him and then say he's illegitimate under the 14th Amendment or, start World War III or anything else, Fed's going to raise rates, and just crush these people out of existence. You can see it in the way the markets have reacted this morning. The euro's getting crushed, the pound's getting crushed, the bond markets are getting crushed, and the Dow is up 1,300 freaking points.
And that's liquidity draining from the euro dollar market into the US,
into the American markets, right? So when you see it from that perspective, yeah, Jamie Dimon is the one walking up to calling up Mitt Romney and going, "You work for me now. If you don't want to lose whatever's left of what you own, you, Larry Fink, Bob Iger, and all these other fucking assholes, you all work for me now because I control the Fed. So you can have the gold watch, and you can." You can get some rebuilding contracts in Ukraine or whatever's going to be left over when Trump's done, ending the war in Ukraine. You're going to get paid. So Romney's going to get paid. Larry Fink's going to get paid. But that's going to be the trade-off. It's a negotiated settlement. It's going to be a negotiated settlement, and it should be a negotiated settlement. Okay, but that also means that you're not going to stand. You're going to vote for whatever the hell Trump wants to do in terms of taxes and tariffs and cutting the waste and everything else. You work for us now. You're an American asset. And if you're not, then you're going to get two in the back of the head and we're going to replace you with somebody who will. Your choice. You can have the gold watch and a couple $1 billion, or you can get two in the back of the head and your family will be destroyed and everything else. That's the way this game is played at this level.
Yeah.
Okay? So now we get to find out whether or not Mitt Romney was always LARPing as a globalist. Same thing with Lisa Murkowski. Same thing with Susan Collins. And at some point, the stack of manila folders, as I like to put it, is going to start rising on their desks until the point comes where Klaus Schwab and George Soros and the rest of them don't have any power anymore. And Alexander Soros is going to be standing around going, why won't anybody take my goddamn phone call?
Yeah. And it's a very important point.
That's the downstream of this event.
Yeah. And I don't think people get this, to how government runs is as mobocracy, whether it's Keir Starmer or Donald Trump or Putin or Modi or whoever it is. They're gangsters. They're all gangsters.
Well, yeah, that's what government is. Yeah. The difference between, as Murray Rothbard very famously said, the difference between the government and the mob is the quality of their suits.
Yes, the mob wear better suits.
I mean, the mob just wear better suits. They go to Brooks Brothers. They don't go off the rack over at friggin' Men's Warehouse. Like, it's the way it is.
Yeah. Okay.
They have it tailored. It's
all right.
Italian silk, not English wool. Fuck you. Like, come on. Like, this is reality.
Yeah.
These men look good doing it.
And the thing so the thing to pay attention to is the Senate races, and that for Trump needs to get at least 54, because then he's got a rock solid majority that can't be thwarted by rhinos, Republicans in name only.
And then the rhinos will fall. The rhinos fall on line because there's nothing they can do, right? So they're then going to virtue signal like they were always patriots the entire time when we know they weren't. Like, this is the real white pill. This is the real, I don't know, red pill or whatever you want to call it. This is the way the game is actually played. And once we, understand that that's the way it's played, we then can comment in the zeitgeist. The goal of me doing this type of analysis is to explain it to everybody, so you can explain it to to your friends who don't understand this because they've been gaslit by morons into believing that the dear Trumpenführer is about to go back to the White House. This is dumb. These people have destroyed Godwin's law. Thank God. Now we can actually have maybe within 5 years we'll be able to have a halfway reasonable conversation about Hitler.
Yes. Now moving on to Hitler.
Sorry, Mr. Hilter. Mr. Hilter. Let's get it right, Mr. Hilter.
Okay, so I'm interested in what he's going to do in terms of the wars and how soon. He did say that he's going to stop the war in Ukraine pretty much straight away. He's also said to Netanyahu, by the time I'm inaugurated, this needs to have ended, which isn't quite the same. His position on Ukraine is a little bit different with Israel.
It is, and Trump is not. Trump is, at the end of the day, Trump's still a royalist. He's still a Scottish Mason, and he still believes that we should have a strong presence in that area of the world about, to pressure oil markets and collateral and everything else. Like, he's not dumb. He's not going to, look, you can end the wars and you can end the empire. Well, you can start to degrade the empire, but you have to still project a certain amount of strength to get a good deal at the negotiating table. Like, you can't just, roll over and go, yeah, we're all done, we're leaving, and then let Russia and China and Iran run the table. Like, they're not our friends, folks. They may be the antipode to the thing we hate, which is the American G7, remnant of the British Empire, or the old colonialists of Europe. We hate those people too. But that, just because we hate that and we understand the cancer that is, doesn't automatically mean that Russia, China, and Iran are our friends. Okay, this has been part of the analysis and the part of the nuance that Dexter White has been trying to, get into people's heads for a long time now. And, in the order of operations, I take a slightly different view. He's more hawkish than on this than I am. But I understand what Trump is going to do, which is he's going to start with his Zopa thing, and he's going to, threaten them with, nuclear fire and, brimstone and everything else, and then he's going to negotiate. And they all know this already. He's a known quantity. They've already sat down. He's broken bread with Xi. He's broken bread with Putin. Like, he's done the whole mob boss thing with them before. They get it. And they understand who he is. And at least he's honest about it. Yeah. And that is the basis for real, honest-to-God fucking diplomacy, as opposed to this fucking feminist fucking bullshit that fucking Obama's been doing for the last 12 years. I mean, it's bullcrap. And it's 12 of the last 16 years. And I mean by feminist, I mean that it's feminine-style violence. It's feminine-style negotiating. It's reputational attack. It's underhanded. It's sneaky. It's not two guys sit down and threaten to beat the crap out of each other and go, you know what? Hey, how about we don't do that? Let's negotiate a settlement. And this is and that's the problem with the British model is very feminine. I fucking hate British perfidy because it's all bullshit and it's all such crap. When this is what men are programmed to do: threaten violence at each other and then negotiate. Women don't fight that way. They fight differently, and that's why Davos keeps putting these fucking childless harpies in charge of these governments. They're doing it on purpose. This is important. These women are not mothers. Mothers negotiate differently than childless women do. They do. Sorry, I hate to sound like a sexist, ladies, but you all know this already.
There are differences. Mummy's brain is different.
Here, and it's not fucking hate speech to say it. And by virtue of the fact that they try to turn it into hate speech, you can't say that. Fuck you. Like, that's it. That's what we said yesterday. Fuck you. It's over. Now shut up. Sit down. So we can get back to raising our kids and having families and playing baseball and shit. Like, can't we do that? The Europeans want to play soccer. The South Americans want to play soccer. Americans want to play baseball. And the Canadians want to play fucking hockey. And the Japanese want to, watch anime or something. I don't fucking know, and I don't care.
I got it. Okay. So, all right. Now, one of the things that I think Trump is going to do, I hope he's going to do, is the end of this transgender nonsense and this sexualization of children agenda that's rolling through American schools, which is part of the Davos WF agenda. But then, and was it in New York State, Proposition 1 went through, which will allow, under the cover of being an equal rights amendment, it will give illegal unvetted migrants the same constitutional powers as New York citizens, as US citizens. It will allow boys to compete in girls' sports. It would allow men to wear dresses and go into women's toilets. That part.
And Trump won Florida by 14 and Texas by 14. So whatever's left of Wall Street, just like it's still there. Same thing with the City of London. That's New York's economy. New York is going to be turned into a nice little museum. Actually, I said this 3 years ago in the newsletter. We're going to turn it into a museum. It's going to be a place you go to visit, just like most of Europe. It's not vibrant. It's not interesting. They're going to turn it into a shithole. And this is what, and this is the worst part about this. These old feckless European corrupt aristocratic douchebags think that somehow that's going to tarnish America. No, it's not. We're just going to move Wall Street to Miami and Dallas, and we're going to move on with our lives. And we'll turn New York into a John Carpenter movie. And if we're smart, we'll just build a wall around the goddamn thing, and we'll just dump everybody in there. Yeah. And when and that'll be the end of it. And Ellis Island will be a ghetto. We'll be the port of entry for the ghetto. You guys can come to America. That's right there. But it's nice. Like, we'll just get rid of New York at some point. Or we'll just neutralize it. It's really funny. I mean, these people have been so but in a different context here. And this is a point that's really important. We're not really fighting. We're fighting the bureaucratic state that they've enabled and created and make money off of. And what we've been dealing with is the immune system of that bureaucratic state. Okay. That's what the media is. That's what the government employees are. That's what the whole rural urban divide is about. That's what that is. That whole sneering, pseudo-intellectual, these people with, these IQ 105 midwits or 110 midwits who have master's degrees in, hotel management, and they're working as HR nannies or ninnies, or, whatever, middle managers, managing a freaking cubicle and running these projects. Now, some of them, but that's what they are. That's the bureaucratic, that's that whole James Burnham managerial revolution thing that I've been talking about obliquely for the last couple of weeks. That's what got rebuked hard last night. That's a good sign. That's what we have to focus on in terms of how we sell this to the 66 million people or 67 million people who voted for Kamala Harris. You need to understand that we don't hate them. You're just part of a system that is fundamentally corrupt, and we're going to replace that with a better system. We're going to replace it with entrepreneurship, and we're going to replace it with some vestige of capitalism where the new entrepreneurial class is going to control their portion of the means of production, and there's going to be jobs for you, but you're not going to have it at your cushy friggin' government job where you do nothing and get paid an exorbitant amount of money for it. You may lose your pension. You may lose some parts of it, but we're going to wind up paying these people out anyway, and they're still going to go to the private sector. We're going to wind up paying their freaking government salaries for the next 30 years, and that's going to be, and that, or not, what I mean? That's what's going to happen. And that's not going to pay them enough to live on. So they're going to have to supplement that with some relatively low paying job, but they'll have that. We'll cut $2 trillion from the budget and we'll start rebuilding the process. That's what has to happen. This can all be done. This is not hard. It's not. It's about revaluing assets and the money in relation to the price of those assets, hard assets, the real assets, oil, gold, silver, blah, 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 all that stuff. Bitcoin has a role in liquefying and undergirding, securitizing the debt markets. And, it's staring you right in the face. And I know I know at this point that Trump has had that read to him, that plan in effect read to him by Musk and Thiel and all those people that the libertarians are still crying in their fucking soy lattes about.
Okay, so this bureaucratic state, the deep state, has been used by the Dems. Isn't there the risk that Wall Street, that the new Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, are going to want to co-opt that for themselves? Because that's what gangsters do. They use what's available.
No, because they are.
Hold on a second, Tom. Juxtaposed with Trump's declarations that he's going to release the files on JFK, on RFK Sr., MLK, Malcolm X, at the Epstein list and the P. Diddy list. Please, God, do that.
And no, I mean, I think, that's the thread itself. All of that stuff, by the way, is an excellent blackmail material to get the people who are compromised on that. When whoever controls that information, controls the release of that information in the right context of having the right power, the right shift in the power structure around him, that becomes an asset. In the same way that I talk about the Federal Reserve being an asset, all of that stuff becomes an asset. Whether or not that's going to make it out into the public or not, it depends on how strong an asset it is. And anybody who doesn't fall in line, again, so what I just talked about with Romney, Diamond calls him up and says, "You're not in charge. I'm in charge. You work for me. Here's the golden watch. This is what you're going to do. You're going to get paid." Same thing with like Rob Reiner. No, he's not. He's not invited to the party. George Clooney not invited to the party. Mark Hamill. That's why all these people are fucking losing their minds. But there are plenty of other people at the board level of places like, I don't know, CBS, Paramount, Disney, blah blah blah. And Bob Iger is losing control of Disney. He's pissed about it. Good. Fuck Bob Iger. Fuck him in his stupid little ass. No. But these people aren't good guys. They're mobs. They're mob bosses. They're mobs. They're not good guys. But they may be the dragons we need to fix enough things now that we then have to deal with them. We may have to deal with them later. Well, let's fight one battle at a time and not just go all the way to the end and go, well, it's not good enough, so fuck that. You're just replaced. I mean, seriously, I read this tweet from Whitney Webb this morning and I literally lost I lost it. I'm going to read it and then I'm going to go, this is why I know this is important. One thing I've learned is that a lot of people who claim to be anarchists or anti-state were really just waiting for the right king to come along. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm sorry, but dude, this is not, the stakes are higher than this. And I'm sorry, I'm not playing that game. I understand I empathize. I get it. I know where a lot of these people are in terms of their own personal trauma and their own personal issues and everything. I get it. Nothing has changed. I'm still an asshole. I still want the evolution of power. I'm just, an adult about it, knowing full well that in order to get devolution of power from this group of shitheads, I got to empower that group of shitheads to go beat the crap out of them, and they're both weakened. And I take the longer view because they're getting the crap out of each other, and it's going to be awesome to watch. And I get to sit back and I get to smoke a whole lot of these.
Fair enough. I got it, Tom.
If I don't eat badly, I'll mitigate the damage that these things do, and then I'll be here for a long time doing this when I don't have any voice left. It'll be great.
No, Tom, I got to say, right, we should record when you're short of sleep more often because you're really on fire today.
I'm actually really, really quite, I'm just really jazzed, right? This is a great moment in time. And I need to do this, I usually only do this version of the character with you anyway. I don't know why, right? But it's like...
It's good. Okay, I want to move on. Because there's a few other things I want to cover, right? Just let you know when we're taking this conversation. His cabinet picks, the chances of neocons like Bolton, oh my God, and Pompeo, not Bolton, he's made that clear, but Pompeo and others like that. And then also the foreign relations between the US and the European imperialists and their oligarchies, and also Russia, China, and then the tariffs and the tax stuff that he's proposing. So that's
there's an awful lot there. We're going to see more of that as we go along. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
Like, he won the election.
Well, and he hasn't
we're trying to save 3 Senate seats, right? Mm-hmm. We got that. Then we're going to have the inevitable next move where they try and light cities on fire and blame it on him. Then you're going to have the next move where Blinken and Sullivan are going to tell Netanyahu to start freaking World War III before Trump takes office. Then then you have to think in terms of the next move, not 5 moves ahead, because 5 moves ahead, there's an awful lot of dependent variables that happen between those 5. I mean, this is the problem. I have a friend that I game against all the time, and he has a particular blind spot, which is he's thinking too far ahead, and then when someone takes that one move away from him that he needed to execute his plan that he saw laid out in front of him, then he loses his mind and screams, weeps, and wails, and leaves the table, and now I need 10 minutes to recalculate. I'm like, you mean you couldn't have created a 2-level deep decision flowchart as opposed to going, oh, this is going to be great, and then no, it's not going to work that way. It never works that way, and it happens to him often enough. Like every fucking game we play, because these plans of his are so freaking obvious that we just go, no, but that's not the best move for you. Yeah, it is. It just pissed you off. I'll take the 3 wood. Thank you very much. But
okay.
But go.
Okay, so we got to wait, right? That makes complete sense. But what about the relations with the old empire?
The first thing he's going to do is he's going to call. He's probably already called Putin. Let's not get ourselves. They've already been talking. So let's not. Putin's statement and Medvedev's statement was, Medvedev is the drunk attack dog, and that's his job. And Putin's job and Putin's role is to say, well, I'm cautiously optimistic, blah, 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 but there's still a hostile enemy, blah, 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 and that's his job. Ukraine is solvable. Putin's going to ask for too much. Trump is going to say, no, they're going to negotiate down. As long as Putin gets what he wants, which is that NATO fucking leaves, Zelensky is removed, the Azov infrastructure is scattered to the 4 winds or handed over to Putin for execution, meaning denazification of Ukraine. And if Putin's going to ask for Odessa, he's not going to get it unless he goes and takes it first. Okay? Mm-hmm. So Putin's goal at this point, secure all of the Donbass and secure as much of it as possible. He's going to put troops, and he's going to escalate on the ground in order to break what's left of the Ukrainian lines and force the best position for himself that he can in Ukraine. That's his his job and his role. Netanyahu's job is to widen the war in the Middle East and leave Trump with very few options. And Netanyahu will do that because Netanyahu and Trump do not like each other. One of the things I mentioned in this morning's market report was all this worry about Miriam Adelson's $100 million and how that's buying, Trump's complicity in the Gaza genocide and all this stuff. I'm again, not to downplay what the Israelis have done. I'm not doing that here. I'm going to be blunt though. Does anybody really think that Miriam Adelson's $100 million buys her anything more protection at this point? It's just not that much money. Fucking Musk was giving away $1 million a day to people, for Christ's sake. It's not that much money. They were raising billions in these, PACs outside of the whole Israeli infrastructure, RFK and Gabbard and all these. They were doing insane levels of fundraising. Miriam Adelson's $100 million was protection money and nothing more. When Trump ran in 2016, Sheldon Adelson's money was necessary. He didn't have deeper pockets. He didn't have any ally. He is in a different position today. So I liken it to the people who were complaining about Larry Fink going and meeting with the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, like 7 times in this, in the year before Powell started, or during that time when Powell started draining the world of liquidity. And I said, well, that's nice. Why do you believe that Larry Fink is the one walking into Jerome Powell's office with all the power? Well, who do you think Bain is, and who do you think Daggett is in that conversation? You think that Larry Fink is Bain, and I think he's Daggett. Because I got news for you. At the end of the day, the Fed chairman has real power. Larry Fink only has power if he cedes all of its power to the people who back Larry Fink. Just that simple, folks. And I've been proven right about that. We're here today because of it.
Yep.
Simple. So the power dynamics are what they are. They're going to shift quickly, and the relationships are also going to shift quickly because all the people who have been important players in the Western implementation of the Western oligarchs' master plan, final solution, whatever the hell you want to call it. I like that, actually. Davos' final solution for humanity. I'm going to use that from here out going forward. I'm going to use that. I'm going to turn the whole fucking Godwin's Law thing on its head.
It's more accurate than the Great Reset.
Of course. It's their final solution for, the deplorables, for people.
Yep.
Those lieutenants are going to be trying to figure out who are they supposed to genuflect to.
Yeah.
And power is an ephemeral thing. It really is. It's easily gained and it's hard to build and it's easily lost. The American people just made a fucking statement. That statement's been received, but it hasn't been heard yet. You can see it in the mainstream media and you can see it in the EU. But here's the good news, folks. The bond traders.
Okay, Tom, that doesn't communicate well on a podcast. Do you want to switch?
The bond traders heard it. And that's all that fucking matters because the euro is down 2 points this morning. The American yield curve is off 18 basis points this morning. The gilt market is at 5-year highs or 7-year highs or whatever the fuck it is. Guys, it's happening. And Powell is going to probably cut rates in the next couple of hours and stabilize things in the short term. We're going to move forward. And if these people, to go back to circling back around, weaving back around to where I was going earlier, depending on their actions over the next 2 months, will depend on what Powell does in December. If they roll over, Powell will cut deeply and pave the way for Trump to come in and change the entire dynamic of the situation of the American debt situation. He'll change that dynamic because we'll be back at 4%, right? With the idea that we're going to get down to 3%, and then Trump can come in with a big majority in the Senate. But as of right now, they're still fighting. They're still fighting tooth and claw. They want those 4 Senate seats. I don't think they're going to get all 4 of them. But let's hope they only get 2 of them. I'd like them to get none of them and make the actual fucking statement that needs to be made.
Yeah.
But again, I've already also laid out ways to neutralize Murkowski, Collins, and Romney.
Okay. So and then relations with European Union and the UK. How do you see?
They're going to be terrible. He's going to offer to the UK. He's going to offer to y'all. Get rid of fucking Keir Starmer. Get rid of these fucking assholes. I'll give you a trade deal, and we'll help rebuild Little Britain. The same thing that was on the table in 2020. You can go fuck yourselves.
The sentiment I share. It's a sentiment I share, Tom. But Tom, there isn't any legitimate way of removing Keir Starmer. We live under a parliamentary tyranny. He's got 20% of the vote, a massive majority, no chance of a no confidence. He's routed the libertarian left. The Tory have been drained of the libertarian right. It's going to take massive one thing, Tom, if I can just say, right, one thing that if I can just plug, it's going to take massive forms of peaceful protest, people being part of the Great Resist. And one way is through bit.ly/make more history, learning how you can, if you're in the UK, legally, lawfully, morally, ethically withhold your taxes by reference to existing legislation. It is illegal to pay taxes. And there's a Zoom call 6 p.m. Monday, 11th of November. Go register on the website bit.ly/makewarhistory and you can find out more. Links in the description below. All right, Tom.
So that's what I'll agree with you on that. The first is going to have to be real, honest to God. Get out, just walk out into the streets and say, okay, that's enough. And every time he walks out of 10 Downing Street, you throw eggs at him.
Yep.
And then you embarrass him. Y'all know how to do this. You've got a long storied history of shitting all over your leadership. Like, you're good at it. You're better at it than we are, frankly. So bring up those racial memories, get in touch with your Benny Gesserit self and go access your racial memories and bring them forward and go buy a carton of eggs, even if you can't afford them, and then go throw them at the stupid son of a bitch and let him play his fucking game. Because, I mean, Starmer every day is morphing more and more every day. They're all, have you noticed the image system? He looks like Joe Scarborough, who looks like Mark Cuban, who looks like Rachel Maddow. They're all doing it. That's their image system. Well, you know what my image system is? Throw eggs at the motherfuckers.
Okay, now, as a disclaimer, we're not advocating, Tom means it metaphorically, we're not advocating any violence.
I'm sorry, throwing eggs at a guy is not violence. It's a dry cleaning.
Tom, you've no idea how shitty
egg wrapped in a 50-pound bill for the dry cleaning bill. Okay, there you go. Egg plus the 50-pound bill. There you go. There's the dry cleaning bill. Now fuck off, get back inside, and go do the people's work.
Yes, we're just on that, Tom. Just on that, Britons don't know this. We have a stronger constitutional protections than the US does. There's a 1688 Bill of Rights, which actually says that Parliament are our representatives. They cannot pass any laws that are the prejudice to the people. People can consent on an individual basis or decline their consent on any legislation. And these rights are in perpetuity and cannot be amended by Parliament. The law is equal birthright. People just don't know this. So we have to enforce this and stand for it and withhold our taxes for these MFers who are out to destroy our lives.
Absolutely. There you go. You know your system better than I do. I know the American system. I LARP is understanding British politics. I just know that you throw eggs at a piece of crap like Keir Starmer. Eventually, he's going to get the message.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Tom,
I invoke the words Oliver Cromwell if necessary. I've been saying it for 4 years. I said it to Alex Mercouris 4 years ago. I've been saying it to you. Alex and I agreed about it then. I don't know who that guy is going to be. I mean, when I brought that up to Alex, he's like, we were talking about it in the context of someone like Nigel Farage. He's like, remember, Oliver Cromwell came out of nowhere. Alex had to remind me of the history on that. So I didn't know any of that. So I let Alex do his thing and talk about it. But those old streams we used to do together, and there's a lot of very radical. It's all good.
Yep.
It's all very good. So keep that in mind, folks. I want nothing more than to watch Little Britain rise up, do this. Because Trump will be standing right next to you. He'll probably be right in line, next to Jeremy Clarkson and the Lamborghini tractor going to 10 Downing Street, lobbing eggs out the side window along with Clarkson. I can see this. Season 4 of Clarkson's term. We take over Parliament.
Yes, there is a demonstration on the 19th of November to support the farmers because part of their final solution is to deprive us of food by stealing land from the farmers in the UK.
Yes, it's monstrous, and it's disgusting, and no. Yeah. How about no? That's simple. But we're legally, that's nice. Come get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want people to share this video. Please share this video. I want, far and wide, we want this information to spread for the farmers to know they can put their property in trust, and that protects it from government overreach. It protects it from tax liabilities. It can also use bit.ly/makewarhistory. Even if you support the wars, hold on to your currency because the government is squeezing us out to impoverish us. So we own nothing, eat bugs as part of their final solution, Great Reset. Okay, Tom, anything else you want to say to finish up? Anything else we haven't covered?
For weeks, I've been saying this. Everybody asks me, I get asked all the time, how you doing, Tom? My answer has always been, well, another day above the roses. Another day above the roses. We're going to make it till tomorrow. We'll make it to the next day and the next day until we get to the election. There. Another day above the roses.
Yeah, another day above the roses.
And then tomorrow. Take the day off today. Get back to work tomorrow. We
Yeah.
have a world to save. We have a species to save from these sons of bitches, and they need to go away. You know it as well as I do. Now let's go get it done.
Yep.
Now let's have fun doing it.
Absolutely. Tom, thank you so much. TomLuongo.me. Go check out his work. It's really, really great. And let's stand for freedom. bit.ly/makewarhistory. Thank you, Tom. All the best. Bye-bye.